The following program is paid for by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Absolute Mortgage Company, NMLS number 81395 and Washington CL number 81395 is an equal opportunity housing lender. Tina Mitchell, MLO number 145420, is a licensed loan originator with Absolute Mortgage. Visit AbsoluteLoans.com or call 888-90-HOMES for cost information. You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell. Sponsored by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Well, welcome to the Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, October 10th show. I am your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. I am empowering our community, providing you with opportunities and solutions when it comes to your money. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but I'm here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that I have in studio on the show. Please call the show at 1-855 400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And my lineup for today's show, Cathy Waidelich, founder of LegacyCaring, an exclusive referral network of trusted professionals who provide safe products and services for our seniors and families. Also in studio, I have State Representative Judy Clibborn back in studio to discuss gas tax, transportation revenue, reforms we've heard about, and much more. You won't want to miss my conversation with our state representative. Also in studio, I have Maureen Nolan, broker-owner of Lakeshore Realty West, here to discuss the importance of title insurance when it comes to the purchase of any of your real estate. Great information and great guest in studio, as always. For more information on any of the topics discussed or topics that you'd like to hear on future shows, please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, the show number is 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And let's start out today's show, as always, with a little money chat.
Money.
As I said in the beginning of the show, for all my regular listeners as well, you know my full-time job is a mortgage professional. That's what I do day in and day out, so I thought I'd bid. And new lending regulations through the CFPB as part of the Dodd-Frank Act. Congress established the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, through the Dodd-Frank Wall Street reform in direct response to the 2008 financial crisis. Under CFPB, the Consumer Protection Act was established. Changes to how we could lend money. Now, the CFPB website defines it as the ability to repay rule in intent to prevent consumers from getting trapped in mortgages that they cannot afford, and to prevent lenders from making loans that consumers do not have the ability to pay back. It's simple. There have been a lot of changes since Congress established the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau through the Dodd-Frank Wall Street reform. How mortgages professionals are compensated, that came first. How appraisals are ordered came in next. Documentation that's requested, that's actually been through the entire process. And now we have TRID. TRID is the Truth in Lending Act, RESPA, Real Estate Settlement Procedure Act, Integrated Disclosure Rule. So TRID, really what it is, it's a disclosure rule. One disclosure with loan estimate, or what they're calling the LE, that replaces the GFE, good faith estimate, and the initial TIL lending disclosure. And then you have the closing disclosure of the CD, which replaces the final truth in lending disclosure and the HUD-1 settlement statement. TRID rule was originally to go into effect on August 1st, but extended it to October 3rd, which we are now dealing with TRID. Really easy with TRID. It's to make it easier for consumers to understand what type of mortgage that they're getting. So again, it's a disclosure rule. Now, additionally, it holds lenders accountable for disclosure on all the fees and potential fees so that the consumer doesn't receive any surprises charges at closing. So good news. The new disclosures were created after an extensive consumer industry research and analysts with public outreach and feedback. 850 consumers were interviewed in the process of developing the forms to ensure their clarity and ease of the use of the forms were accomplished. Much different when they changed the good faith estimate the last time. When they updated the good faith estimate, they did not talk consumers on how easy it was to read them because it was actually harder than the old one. So I have to say, as a mortgage professional myself, these disclosures are a good thing, and they are very, very easy in comparison to what we had before for the consumers. Now, CFPB tested using the LE. 9% of consumers tested could identify their loan amount compared to 61% of those using the existing forms. That's huge. Consumers tested 90% could say when the interest rate could change, and when using the LE, up from 81% of people using the existing forms. Huge change. When asked whether settlement charges have changed from the LE to the correspondent CD, far more people accurately noted changes with the new forms versus the old forms. So basically the initial disclosures that are going out versus the ending disclosures. Can you see the difference between the two? Before, they were two completely different disclosures. You had the good faith estimate, and then you had the HUD 1 settlement statement. Didn't look like anything in comparison. So now they're identical forms the way they read, and being able to make the differences between the two will be easy for the consumer. Making it easier for clients to understand is good for everyone. The issue is additional timing requirements. So that's where the stress is going to come in with TRID. It's going to come in for the lender, and ultimately it's going to go down to the consumer if the lenders aren't doing and preparing as they need to for these new timelines. So how do you proceed in the closing process? It really is about three things: communication, realistic expectations, and a sense of urgency. Now, we've always had that. It's important to communicate. It's important to set realistic expectations, and it's important to have urgency. Even more so now with these timelines, if the closing dates are not extended enough to accommodate, it's going to make it just a little bit more stressful during the process. Now, timeline clarification, there's a lot of it going on for clarification for the loan estimate and the closing disclosure. It basically is allowing the clients time to be able to review and make sure that they want to continue to go forward. So the big one really is in the closing disclosure at the end of the process is having 3 days for you to actually review and make sense of this disclosure. 6 days if it's getting U.S. postal, mailed through the mail. So you're hoping that your lender has the ability to send it electronically, so we can actually back that down to a 3-day period to make sure that we can meet the closing timelines. So lots of information about TRID. I just gave you a couple minutes here on the Money Chat because really the show is about the guest that I have in today. If there's more questions that you have, please, again, call the show at 1-855-400-1150. 1-855-400-1150. You can get me if you want to talk to me directly or, again, any of the guests that I have in studio. And coming up next on the Money Hour, neither seniors' parents nor their adult children find this role reversible comfortable. How do you navigate through it? What do you need to know, and who do you need to have on your team to help the transition with our seniors? Cathy Waidelich, founding of LegacyCaring, right here on 1150 AM KKNW after this short break.
Every day, more than 1.4 million American lives are disrupted by Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. This year alone, 70,000 new cases will be diagnosed, and more of those are children. Nearly 75% of patients with Crohn's disease will require one or more surgeries at some point in their lives. Those are the facts, but they don't speak to the daily realities of living with Crohn's or colitis. Excruciating pain, a lifetime of medication, and days when they can't even get out of bed. There's a good chance you know someone suffering with Crohn's or colitis. Someone like me. I'm Amy Brenneman, and I'm asking you to support the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America. CCFA was created to help millions of us cope and to find cures. Visit ccfa.org today to learn more, donate, or join an event. It's time to face the facts and reach out to help someone you know at ccfa.org.
This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Well, welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, October 10th show. My goal is to keep you up to date on the latest news and trends in our local economy. Keep me tuned in, and I promise I will keep you informed. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but you can call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. Any questions that you have for the guests that I've had in studio or any future topics that you would like to hear, please, I am here for you. And in studio right now, Cathy Waidelich, founder of LegacyCaring, caring for aged loved one and helping to make the best decisions for them while at the same time trying to manage the demands of your own life and your own family. It can add a little bit of stress to you and to the entire family. It can be a non-eventful process if you have the right people to step in and help you out. And that's really Cathy's vision behind LegacyCaring, is to be there for our seniors as well as to be there for their families and helping them. Cathy, thank you so much for coming back in studio. I'm so excited to have another conversation with you.
Thank you for having me, Tina.
And a little bit about Cathy's background. Cathy was a managing real estate broker and top producing Realtor for over 10 years and broker owner of her home real estate company, Street Realty. With 30 years plus broker, she has been has a master's degree in counseling and education and received her senior real estate specialist certification in 2009. It was through her real estate experience in helping seniors that Cathy realized how important it was for seniors not to be victims of financial fraud. Since 2000, Cathy has had a leader of Master Builders Association, MBA, of King and Snohomish counties, largest home building association of over 800 plus in the country. She was their educator, director, and developer of MBA University model education program for the home building associations. She formed a group with Master Builders to deal with assisting seniors in their housing needs. In May of 2012, Cathy led the first senior day at the MBA with Dr. Marianne Summers, trusted and admired senior psychologist expert. And the 3 and 4 Need More Association was launched in idea of LegacyCaring. And then Cathy left her position as CEO of real estate office in Seattle area to follow her passion and focus on creating a trusted place for seniors to go for their housing real estate needs. This is now expanding into other industries, including finance, holistic health, legal, travel, anything that you can think about that your seniors may need assistance with. And Cathy, again, it's really fortunate to have you here. You know, my passion with seniors and a lot of the guests that I actually have in studio that talk on protecting in different areas that our seniors need assistance in, they're all part of LegacyCaring. So, I mean, it's just really great how that all goes around. So let's talk about LegacyCaring. If you can share with my listeners what the organization is about.
Well, LegacyCaring, it's trusted senior and family resources, and we're an exclusive network of exceptional professionals who provide safe, quality products and services to seniors and their families.
Wonderful. And Cathy, share with my listeners the reason behind why you started LegacyCaring.
Tina, I started it because I was a realtor and I saw so much scamming and poor service and just really terrible things happening to seniors. They were preyed on. They were victims of fraud. Just to give you a few examples of my direct experiences, I had one couple, an elderly couple in their 80s. They paid $70,000 for a roof they don't need. I had an in-home care provider smoking with her client. She had an oxygen tank, and they were smoking, right next to her, and they were smoking in the garage. And I had another couple that was swindled out of like $2 million.
Wow.
And I just got to the point where it's like somebody's got to do something about this.
Yeah, somebody's got to just quit their career and just randomly start a network. Unbelievable.
I know, right?
So with that in mind, gets me to my next question. How in the heck did you do it? How did you get started?
Well, I actually got started when I was on the board of directors at Master Builders. So it wasn't, I was a realtor and I was doing it on the side. And then I just realized that it was something that was so important that I needed to do it full time. But when we started at Master Builders, it was all about helping seniors and their families with their housing needs. So it was helping them, stay in their homes. So we had the remodelers and the trades and reverse mortgage, actually move out of their homes and downsize. So the builders and realtors and title escrow, everybody, and then also sell their homes and move into senior communities. And we have several different senior community companies that are working with us. Yeah.
So as personally a member myself, Cathy, of LegacyCaring, it's been really exciting to see how it's evolved since you opened the doors. And can you talk and share that with my listeners of what's happening and how it's evolved?
Sure. Well, I'd say first the foundation was when I really started it initially, I really didn't know what it was going to look like. And so I talked to my master builder colleagues and realtors, and, I just got up and said, look, 1 in 5 people 65 and over have already been victims of financial fraud.
Yeah.
And with 10,000 people turning 65 every day in the U.S. and 10,000 every month, just in our state of Washington, we need to do something.
Yes.
And I feel that there is a place for the most trusted people because it's like the bad guys were finding, the seniors. And there was no place that, even though there's a lot of wonderful, good people and professionals, nobody knew really where to find us. Because now when we go, like to websites with ratings and reviews and things, we don't know what's true or not.
Yes. So when you say trusted advisors, because that's a key part of LegacyCaring and something unique and special, I think, to what you're doing. Can you, what does that really mean? How do we know that we are trusted? I know that I am. I know that you are. But tell my listeners about
us, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So what did you come together with to approach that?
Well, I'll tell you, when I started, I was thinking, customer satisfaction surveys, and I was, and because
it was an evolving process.
You were one of my very, very first members, and we did focus groups, with the seniors and the professionals in the industry, and we just learned so much. And what we learned most of all was that they want to know that they're safe.
Yes.
And that who's ever working with them is going to put their best interests first.
Yes.
So what I learned was that it wasn't about, sure, customer satisfaction surveys are going to happen, but they really wanted like criminal background checks and check the court records if there's any red flags, and current professional and business licenses to know that, people like contractors are licensed, bonded,
Yes.
So those were the kinds of things that they really wanted to make sure. And we're really the foundation, the most important part.
It makes total sense.
So now what we do is we take, and this is every single member goes through 7 different background check and vetting, steps.
Pretty impressive.
So it's not like there's, you can get like a A, B, C, D, E, F, it's all like everyone is an A and a B.
Yes. Yeah. So let's share with my listeners, Cathy, the professionals that are part of the network.
Well, we have diverse home and health professionals. We started with housing, but quickly, particularly holistic health practitioners wanted to be involved because they want to help people stay healthy, right?
Yes.
So we have from,
and helping their families and before they get to seniors and how to, and I think that's a great thing. Sorry for the interruption here, Cathy, but really the great thing about LegacyCaring is it's helping the seniors, but it's actually helping their children plan for when they become seniors and helping their families go through it. It's just really amazing and magical how it all happens. Go ahead, Cathy.
Well, so we've got legal advisors, contractors, realtors, holistic health practitioners. But what we really want to do is we want to prevent things like falls and fraud.
Yep.
There was, as you well know, there was a survey, and it was all about, they wanted to find out who is most concerned about taking care of their parents. Well, usually most people will say middle-aged women because we're the ones that take care of our parents, But it was really interesting because it was men, young men in their late 20s and 30s. And it was because they saw their grandparents and their parents haven't planned. And so they see like grandma fall down and break, her hip, and she can't go home. She has to, move somewhere else. They haven't planned in it. It was like all generations, everyone in the family were going through a financial, physical, emotional crises. So our group has really focused on being proactive. We feel like if we can help people, in prevention and, prevent the fall, prevent the fraud, that we're going to help them protect their family legacies and really creating peace of mind for all generations.
Exactly. And that's why I'm part of the network. That's why I do the show. It really is about prevention and planning and everything in our life. It's the earlier we can do it, the better the result is going to be.
And the other thing that that is happening is that people are they don't have the resources to fly all over the country, right?
Yes.
To help.
Yes.
I mean, so by knowing, you can be in Europe or you can be on the East Coast and have something happen to a loved one here. And then what happens is if there's one place that they can go to actually find people they can trust, it saves them time, energy, money,
Exactly. Yeah. And if you're listening right now, go to legacycaring.com. Again, legacycaring.com. You can always go to themoneyhour.com and re-listen to the segment. Just type in Legacy Caring and you'll get Cathy's segments that she's been in the studio before as founder of the company. What's happening in October, Cathy?
In October, there's the Seattle Home Show.
Yep.
And it is October 23rd, 24th, and 25th from 10 in the morning till 6.
Okay.
We have, not only do we have a booth, and many of our members have booths too,
yep.
but we have our own stage on the first floor right by the marketplace. So all of our members will be doing educational programs throughout the
that
show.
was amazing last year, seeing that at the home show with all the people coming in and going, wow, what's going on over there? What's happening with that? And just having amazing. And that's where a lot of the guests that I brought into studio after listening to them speak, I thought, they need to come in and talk to my listeners. What about Global Awareness Prevention Week, November 15th through the 21st?
We have a video being launched that week that will be just a beautiful reflection of why we're needed, and there'll be presentations and programs through that entire week. But probably the big one will be we're going back to Master Builders of King and Snohomish counties, and it's going to be a lunch. It's Thursday, November 19th from 11:30 to 2, and we're going to have a fraud prevention panel. Dr. Marion's coming back. We have the Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division coming, an attorney. It's going to be a really, really great event. So.
I might get a chance to go to dinner with Dr. Marion and you again, maybe.
Wouldn't that be fun?
My eye over here. Alrighty. So what about if I have a listener that is a business professional and that wants to become one of the network's trusted service providers? What can they do, Cathy?
Right now, probably the best thing to do is just to call me directly. My number is 425-269-5824.
Perfect. And what about seniors or their families that are listening that want to get more information of how to find your service providers?
And it's probably best to go to the website.
Okay.
So legacycaring.com.
Okay. And then you can look at all the different service providers that they need assistance with. Cathy, I got to take us to a break here in just a second, less than a minute, just to leave my listeners with something. What would you like to leave with them?
Just how important it is to make sure that if you're helping your family members, and it really doesn't matter what age, that that it's somebody that you can trust.
Yeah, great advice, Cathy. Thank you so much. You know how much I love you personally. You know how much I love your mission and your vision and what you're doing with Legacy Caring. And I just thank you. I really, really do. I can't tell you how much I've learned in helping my my mom when she needs that assistance. I'm definitely going to be prepared. So
thanks for having me, Tina.
To you. Thank you so much. Coming up next on the Money Hour, our state representative, Judy Clibborn, reducing challenges through legislative action and finding resources to support district success. Very proud to have Judy here, right here on 1150 AM KKNW after our short break.
Hi, I'm State Representative Judy Clibborn. I represent the 41st Legislative District, which includes Mercer Island, Newcastle, and parts of Bellevue, Issaquah, and Sammamish. I am also the chair of the House Transportation Committee, which means that I have a lead role in deciding how our highway dollars are spent. We are facing many challenges as a state, from fixing up roads and bridges to fully funding our schools, and I want to hear from you about how we can tackle these tough issues. If you have a question or concern about your state government, please get in touch. You can reach my office by calling 360-786-7926 or emailing me at judy.clibborn@leg.wa.gov. I hope to hear from you soon.
The University of Washington Parent-Child Study is looking for parents and their 8 to 11-year-old children to participate in a 3-hour research study examining how children learn to distinguish between what is safe and what is not safe. They're especially interested in how those processes differ in children of parents with and without post-traumatic stress disorder. Parents are compensated with up to $60, and all children are given a UW Child Scientist t-shirt. In addition, all parents receive a thorough psychiatric evaluation. For more information, please call Alyssa at 206-685-9043 or visit online parentchildstudy.com. That's 206-685-9043 or parentchildstudy.com.
This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, October 10th show. I'm committed to providing you knowledge needed to be successful in every area regarding your finances. Knowledge is power, and that's why I'm here and what you'll receive for listening to my show. If you're hearing the show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. To talk with any of the guests I have in studio or myself, you can call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150, or online at themoneyhour.com to connect with any of them. And in studio right now, very happy to have Judy Clibborn back in studio, our state representative. Judy, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure having a conversation with you.
Well, thank you, Tina. Thanks for inviting me back.
Of course. Little background about Judy. Representative Clibborn has a distinguished 20-year career in public service. She first became engaged in politics as a private citizen and soon after ran for a seat on the Mercer Island City Council. She went on to serve as both a council member and mayor of Mercer Island before joining the legislature. January 2016 will mark her 14th year in the House of Representatives and her 9th year chairing the Transportation Committee. As legislator, Representative Clibborn, top priority has been building a comprehensive modern transportation system that connects communities and grows our economy. She was one of the chief architects behind the bipartisan transportation package that passed the legislation in 2015, earning praise from businesses, transit advocate, labor organizations, local governments, and consumers across the state. Her dedication and ability to her work across the aisle has been recognized both locally and nationally. Representative Clibborn has been a Mercer Island resident for 48 years, married with 3 children and 5 grandchildren. She holds both a BS and an RN from the University of Washington. And Judy, you know what? I just want to start out with 405 because I know today there are some challenges on 405. What's going on? What's an update you can share with my listeners?
Well, I think this is hot off the presses. Certainly,
Yes.
Coming in this week, it's been a really difficult week for something that we've been able to work on for a long time, but until it hits the ground, we really have to have people experience it,
Yes.
and it's a really hard thing for people to understand. So I was going to just mention why. Okay. First of all, we had the money from our previous gas tax to widen 405. So when you widen that, you actually reach the limits of how you will ever be able to widen that road. You're up to the buildings in Bellevue when you go through Bellevue. So to look at how you will use those lanes, because we know we're going to grow. And we want to have our economy grow and have more people, but that means more traffic.
Yes.
And so in other areas of the nation, and actually we had a pilot project on 167, we've used the concept of a hot lane. And this is an embellishment of the hot lane that's on 167 because it has a graduated toll to make sure that it will always move. And the surety of moving is, for some people, that's worth the extra money.
Yes.
But the other thing is, if people buy into a new lane like that, and there's 2 new lanes if you go from Bothell to Bellevue, there's 2 new lanes. We didn't take any existing lanes.
Okay.
So we took the HOV lanes, we took a new lane, and we let people buy in. If they buy in, they're coming out of the general purpose lane. And what we found on 167 was that the general purpose lanes went up in their ability to move by 20%.
Wow.
So, when you talk to businesses that are down in the 167 area, there were businesses who have to do deliveries. They would hire another person so that they could be an HOV. When we made them hot lanes, they didn't have to have an extra person.
Oh my gosh, wow.
So when you talk about the impacts and who uses it, it's not a Lexus lane.
Yep.
It's the person who is going to pay $10 for 10 minutes of being late to daycare.
I won't be doing that, Judy.
I don't. Well, just so you know.
I'm always ahead of schedule most of the time.
And for those people who are getting caught in it right now, as it works its way out, we say 6 months.
Yep.
It will be tweaked. We had to tweak 167. I think the hardest thing is figuring out when you need to get out of the lanes to get in. I talked to somebody yesterday who was not a proponent of this, and she looked me in the eye and said, about 4:05. And I said, yes.
Oh, no.
And she said, it took me 2 days to figure out that I was not out, I didn't get out of the lane in time, so I missed my exit. I love it. I've knocked a half hour off of my drive.
Yes, wow, that's awesome.
I want other people to experience that, but right now it's a furor.
Yes. So if you have any comments to share, definitely go to the Money Hour and connect with me. So Judy, I understand that the legislature passed on 11.9 cents gas tax this year. Now we have a lot of realtors that I bring into studio. I'm actually going to be talking with Maureen a little bit later today. Why should our realtors care about this?
Well, I find that realtors are always asking me questions. I've had a number of presentations.
Sure, they are.
Mainly, the people that you are selling to are making decisions on where they live according to how they commute.
Yes.
Or the services that they require. And they want to know, first of all, if you're a realtor, you want to know where are those big projects being built because they might impact you for a decade. So you want to know that. But you also want to know that that when you get done, that people will have a good commute and you can sell your property and tell them how it's going to look into the future. There are this is this is the biggest package ever in the state of Washington.
Wow.
So it has a lot of big projects. It also has a lot of small projects that work in the neighborhoods and work in the cities and helps with choke points. And I think if people look at the package and go down the list, as a realtor, you should know what's coming in this package so that you know the future.
Of course. So, Judy, with the gas prices, being a little high already, why do we need more gas tax other than transportation?
I know a lot of people don't understand, what's happening to the gas tax we're already paying. And there's a little learn that you have to do.
And I'm here speaking for the listeners.
I
Judy.
know. So I'm talking to you out there in Radioland that all that money is not being squandered, but it is paying off previously built projects because it is bonded. So it is paying off bonds for 30 years. And if we didn't pass new gas tax, we wouldn't have any new projects.
Okay, makes sense.
So we would be done. And it takes about a decade to build some of these projects.
Yeah.
If you look at, some of the projects that we're building now, we'll finish up 520.
Yeah.
Well, we've been building 520 for 10 years.
Yes.
So let's get the other half.
Exactly. And then you got everything going on with Sound Transit. That was really fun having both of you in here for a show and kind of a conversation there. So, Judy, how is it going to help us with all of the congestion that we have?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Sound Transit because that's one of the big things that was part of this package was an agreement to allow, because the state has to allow Sound Transit to go out with their revenue. And so Sound Transit 3 was a big part of this package. Doesn't give them the taxes, but it allows them to go out and ask for the voters. As I said, it finishes up 520, and it does some new connections to the ports. And for our economy that is so grounded in exporting and importing, our state is very dependent on exporting. So these investments to keep our ports open, and particularly in Tacoma, and connecting up, huge investments. And then there's all the small projects, like I mentioned, that will really make a difference for cities.
Yes. So if one of my listeners is asking, when they hear about mismanagement, why should we put more revenue into the Washington State DOT?
I know it's always easy to point a finger at DOT, and sometimes they do make mistakes. We've had a couple of mistakes. The pontoons were a mistake.
Yes.
People got fired. Heads rolled, and we actually figured out how to pay for the mistake, and so we will continue on. Sometimes, let's look at Bertha. Bertha is not a project that DOT is doing. It is the private sector is building this tunnel. And we are in the oversight, but you don't want us to say to this company how they should build their project, because at that point we would have the risk. We let them go, and the headlines I think today was that we will be asking our insurer for some money because the project is delayed to cover our costs.
Good.
But most of those costs, they're going to be on the private sector.
Got it.
And so I think it's hard for the public to understand what is DOT and what is the private sector.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for explaining that. But it does make it easier. So, what about the reforms that we heard so much about? Can you talk about that?
I was so proud of the fact. One of the things that happened with this package is that we all worked together. We successfully wanted it to happen. It didn't matter whether you're a Republican or Democrat or Senate House member, but we didn't agree on the reform. So we had to sit down and hammer out. And so what we ended up was coming to an agreement on things that would help us with the costs of delivering projects around labor contracts, ferry building, environmental processes, and project delivery. And the most fun thing about project delivery savings is we've captured them, and they will be used about halfway through this 16-year project. We will take those savings and do new projects. Okay.
And what about the climate change issues that we've been talking about?
So the climate change was a big part, and I have to hand it to the governor. This is a very important issue for him, and he had to sign our transportation package with something he didn't like in it, but the transportation package meant a lot to him. He has issued an executive order to do climate change. It will not be the things that he was talking about that were a part of our package. So he will be working on that through ecology.
Okay. Anything else happening in the package?
Well, there's so much happening in this package, and it kind of brings everything like state patrol and ferries, and cities and counties get money, so they're going to be able to do things that not just what we tell them to do. I think it's a very enlightening, and hundreds of thousands of jobs. Great for the economy.
So, Judy, I know that you've had a lot of successes. We've got a minute to go to commercial, and I want you to leave my listeners with just an awe of how amazing you are and what you really are doing for us. Big success, Judy. Let's wrap it up with that.
Thank you so much. I'm very proud of the bipartisan and the work that we did this year. Appreciate
awesome. Judy, thank you so much again. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Wish I could have you more, but I know that you're in high demand, and a lot of people are asking for your appearance. So thank you so much. Coming up next in the Money Hour, title insurance. What is it and why do you need it? Well, if you're thinking about purchasing real estate, you definitely want to stay here to listen to my conversation with my next guest, Maureen Nolan, broker, owner of Lakeshore Realty West, right here at 1150 a.m. KKNW after this short break.
Hi, I'm State Representative Judy Clibborn. I represent the 41st Legislative District, which includes Mercer Island, Newcastle, and parts of Bellevue, Issaquah, and Sammamish. I am also the chair of the House Transportation Committee, which means that I have a lead role in deciding how our highway dollars are spent. We are facing many challenges as a state, from fixing up roads and bridges to fully funding our schools, and I want to hear from you about how we can tackle these tough issues. If you have a question or concern about your state government, please get in touch. You can reach my office by calling 360-786-7926 or emailing me at judy.clibborn@leg.wa.gov. I hope to hear from you soon.
This is the story of Daniel, who was born 2 months early. He weighed 1 pound, 7 ounces. His lungs weren't ready. His heart wasn't ready. His brain wasn't ready. At the hospital, the nurses said Daniel was a fighter, and they would do all they could to help him. The doctor said even with the best care, Daniel may never walk. He may never see. He may never learn. Daniel's parents spent night after night at the hospital, watching his every breath, holding his tiny hands, and looking for signs that he was growing stronger. At home, his parents looked around Daniel's empty nursery, at the quiet toys and the still rocker, and they hoped that one day they could sit in that rocking chair and tell this story to their very healthy son. Daniel's is just one of the more than 500,000 stories of babies born prematurely last year, but there's hope for a happy ending. The March of Dimes is funding the research and programs to stop premature birth. You can help bring more babies home healthy. Learn how at marchofdimes.com. Working together for stronger, healthier babies.
This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here at 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, October 10th show. I provide you news on everything money, fresh information and market trends and conditions that are happening in our local economy. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. You can call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com to discuss anything regarding your finances, money, any advice that you need in that arena. And obviously, I have great guests that come into studio that can answer any financial question that you have. Right now in studio, first time that I've been able to have a conversation with Maureen Nolan, broker owner of Lakeshore Realty West. Maureen, thank you so much for coming in studio. I'm excited to talk to you about title insurance today.
Well, thank you for having me.
And I think a lot of people have purchased homes before they get their title insurance policy and really aren't paying attention or understanding truly what it is and the importance behind it. So I'm excited to have this conversation with you. A little bit about Maureen. Over 25 years, specialized in real estate, new construction, and land, member of the NW Independent Brokers Association. She is broker owner of Lakeshore Realty West LLC. So Maureen, can you talk? Let's just start out with my listeners in explaining what title is.
Well, title is a very important part of real estate, and in essence is your land description, your property description. It is the essence of the transaction.
Yes. Okay. And the title report is pretty long, and I'm sure with all the other paperwork that buyers are getting during the closing process, all the stuff that's going on, I bet there might be somebody listening to the show that didn't read that title and that title report. Is that important?
It's highly important. It's probably, through the 25 years of experience, one of the most important pieces of documents to look at, and it's always better to look at it before you really put that purchase and sale agreement together.
Yes.
And even afterwards, there's supplements that go on during the transaction that also should be looked at.
So let's talk about, what about Exhibit A and B? Can you share with my listeners what that is?
Sure. So there's actually something called Exhibit A, which is, again, very important. That is the legal description. And most of the time, title companies get that right, but sometimes they don't. So that's very important to look at. The other thing is then what's called a Schedule A, which Exhibit A is part of. So it's Schedule A. It's very important to look at how the deed is going to vest. Okay. So who's in entitlement? Who are you buying it from? And then who is going to be the purchaser?
Yes.
Is your name on that title?
Got it.
So there's a couple of things that will happen once you put a purchase and sale agreement together, and they'll provide a preliminary title for you.
Yes.
And these are the things you should look at.
Okay. So Maureen, normally when a contract goes together, you've most of the time you've got two real estate agents. You've got the listing agent that's representing the seller, the selling or buyer's agent that's representing the buyer. And normally they have experts that they've worked with in both title and escrow. Do the buyer and seller have to use the representatives that are recommended by the realtors?
Absolutely not. That might be news for a few, but absolutely not. Yeah.
And why would they do that? I mean, share the importance of using the resources that are already recommended to you when it comes to such an important purchase.
Well, from an agent's perspective, and that includes me. I mean, of course, I have people that I've worked with for many, many years, and I enjoy working with them, and I know the legacy of their work and how they work. So I have confidence that they'll do good work for me. And equally, an agent representing a seller, if let's say I'm representing a buyer or vice versa, they equally have those professional partnerships.
Yes.
And usually they serve all parties well.
Yep.
But there are some times where you might want to consider other options.
Okay. And during Monday Chat, as I talked about the CFPB and the new TRID rule and regulations that have came in, I think it's really important, especially on the escrow side, to make sure that you've got one of the great companies out there to make that process go smoothly.
Yep.
So let's talk about, you've mentioned preliminary title and really taking a look at what's happening in title, with title, before that contract is actually accepted. Can you talk about that?
Certainly, usually, and hopefully, if you're a buyer and you're considering a listing, your agent should be able to get a copy of the preliminary title.
Okay.
And hopefully that listing agent has ordered that. And so get a copy of it and take a look. And the other element of that title is the Schedule B, and that's where you're going to have some hidden secrets, I guess you can say.
Okay, all righty. And what about title supplements and why those are important, Maureen?
Those are very important because what can happen is a supplement is any change to that title. So during, let's say, that 30 or 45 days, or if you're doing a land deal that year time before you close on the transaction, the title company might have a change to that title. And they need to issue, and they have to issue what's called a supplement to notify all parties that there's been a change.
Got it.
And that change can be either good, sometimes it can be bad.
Yes, yes. And so the importance of reviewing the title prior to getting into under contract or a purchase and sale, pretty important, yes?
Very, very important, yeah.
And so when you do come to an agreement and you're under contract, what about the title contingency? How long does that run to get things kind of figured out if there's issues going on with title and to get them resolved before the buyer's earnest money might be at risk if they walk because of a title issue?
So putting your purchase and sale agreement together, very, very important to make sure that you have that title contingency in the purchase and sale agreement. That contingency is in the Northwest Multiple Listing, the 22T.
Okay.
And so that will kind of spell out your options. And so working with your agent, that's definitely an addendum to include.
Got it. So, Maureen, do you recommend that your buyers to actually call the title company to go over and answer questions that they might have on the title report, or if there's things that they don't understand? Is that a good resource for them?
Absolutely. Yeah, I find most of the time, and certainly as representing my buyers or sellers, I'll make that call and prep the title rep to make sure that they understand the question that's going to be asked, and then I have my buyer or seller call and make sure they get a very good understanding from that title rep.
Got it. So most consumers don't understand that title prices are actually, the cost of title is regulated. Do you, can you explain that?
Well, those are, yes, they are highly regulated, and title is kind of another part of real estate that I hope to be able to drag my title rep in here to explain all of those things.
That would be awesome.
To the experts.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at title insurance, I mean, you're not really shopping around for it because it is what it is within reason. And I just found out with the new TRID regulations. I mean, I didn't realize that the percentage Washington State, they're all just 35% less than the national cost for title. And I guess they all had to figure and decide that themselves because they all have to be competitive, which was really interesting. Continue learning things every day.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Title is one of those, and a lot of people will be surprised how many title companies like Chicago Title is actually owned by Fidelity. So many of these title companies that we think are different
Really?
are actually owned.
Chicago owns Fidelity, or Fidelity owns Chicago?
Fidelity owns Chicago.
Really? I didn't realize that. Unbelievable.
I don't know if they know that.
And what are some things that can come up, a story that you have in title, and what can happen if on a property that title protected?
Okay, well, this is one of those where, again, I have to thank my title rep for making me kind of a title geek, I guess you'd say. I closed a transaction representing the buyer, and within days of that transaction closing, the neighboring property, who actually did the short plat for the property my buyer was buying, they had recorded a deed that hadn't been recorded. Okay. And it basically took about 25 feet of my client's property as a landscaping easement. Okay. And the title company failed to deliver the supplement prior to the closing. So the title company actually, had to cover that.
I was going to say, so when the purpose of title insurance, title company drops the ball, they're going to come in and resolve and take care of that issue. Yes. You don't have title insurance, that's a whole other story. So that's why you need to have title insurance. Right. Now, and a lot of times there's things that are happening in the house, right before they get it on the market. Maybe they're putting a new roof or something on, and the roofer's up there and does his job, and then he doesn't get paid, and the house closed, the home closes, and they get a knock on the door from this contractor. In that situation, what would happen?
Well, it depends on that contractor. Of course, if they filed a lien, and then, hopefully that would be something that came up in that title review.
But if it didn't, so let's say they didn't file it, you've got title insurance, they're going to take care of it, right?
Hopefully, yeah. It just depends, again, on that contractor, and if that lien was filed, and if it was filed well.
Got it.
Done right, I guess you could say. Yeah.
So where are you seeing that in areas of lessons that can be learned from title issues that come up, or the closing process, or when it comes to title insurance? What advice do you have, Maureen?
Well, it's a pretty boring piece of document. So, I think a lot of people just put it aside, but it is actually something you should sit down and talk through with your realtor. Yes. And again, paying attention to that Schedule B. It actually provides you some information, like a recent one that I'm doing for some land in Issaquah. For example, it has a copy of the original short plat. So you're able to get kind of the survey markings off of that. It actually also says it has a recorded survey, but as we looked at it, it actually isn't for the property in question. It's actually for the neighboring property. And actually that's of value, because it is showing one line of that survey. So these are kind of the hidden gems you can find in your title report. So you don't have to go out and find a survey.
And how many pages title report? My gosh, that thing is so long.
Yeah, I know.
So what about, taking title? And do you see people making errors in how they take it, whether they take title sole ownership, tenants in common? And are you seeing any buyers really not putting enough thought into that and taking title the wrong way?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And again, what advice do you have for them is connecting with the title insurance company and really understanding how they're taking title?
No, a good lawyer.
Okay. All right. Great advice.
Well, it's actually I see it when people are doing investments, or people who are buying it as a couple, but they're not married, for example. So there's no
that can be a
community
huge
property
mistake
things going on. So in that situation, I advise them to talk to a lawyer to have some kind of agreement that then they get advice on how they should take title. Makes total sense.
Great advice. Yeah. So, Maureen, being in the industry for many years, being a broker, owner of your own real estate company, with what's happening, getting off our title topic and just getting right into the real estate, what's happening right now for you and your business and your expertise in the industry that you can share with my listeners on today's environment?
Well, that's a loaded question. I think
it is. It's good. Oh my gosh! Where do we begin? I got to close the show. So, multiple offers in our environment right now in the market. Give one tip to our buyers out there that are dealing with multiple offers. What would you share?
Well, I would definitely do a pre-inspection. if you're a multiple offer buyer, you've really got to make the commitment to buy. And you have to be really clear about that purchase. If you want to win, work with your agent, and they will advise you on how to quote unquote win.
Yes.
And position you well with various things like no inspection and all cash, borrow from friends, family, I'm
whatever you need to do.
Whatever you need to do. Or at the very least have a really strong lender.
Yes.
And those guys are also winning.
Yes.
So there's some things to do there. And if you can get a hold of that title, make sure, the person selling it to you is vested on that title.
Yep.
There's a lot of preliminary things you can do before you make that offer.
Yep.
That will strengthen your position.
So best advice is you've got to work with an expert. I've got one in studio right here, Maureen. Give the show a call, 1-855-400-1150, or go online to themoneyhour.com. You've got to work with an expert. You've got to hire them and listen to what their advice is to navigate through this process. You've got to prepare and do things ahead of time before you make these offers. Great advice. Maureen, thank you so much for coming into studio. It was a great having a conversation.
Thank you
and
very
sharing
much for
something outside of your arena and really talking about title, because that's really, really important. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And this is your host, Tina Mitchell, again, mortgage expert. That's what I do. I will be here next weekend, same time, same place, to talk to you about money. So you don't want to miss next week's show. Thank you so much for joining, and have a great weekend.
The preceding program is paid for by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Absolute Mortgage Company, NMLS number 81395 and Washington CL number 81395 is an equal opportunity housing lender. Tina Mitchell, MLO number 145420, is a licensed loan originator with Absolute Mortgage. Visit absoluteloans.com or call 888-90-HOMES for cost information.